I guess more accurately, I should have titled this, Which Formula One drivers besides Bottas would model nude? And we will discuss that, I promise. But first, hello. I am Simon. I am on a rash of tier making videos. I can't explain it. I love making them. To be fair, I always have. But I feel like I'm on a trend. Not a trend. A spree, I don't know what the term is, but I'm on something, and I'm back to answer the very, very important question, which Formula One drivers would be a nude model? And I've decided to take one thing out of consideration, which is fame. I do think none of them, mostly, would in reality do it simply for fame-related reasons, but I've removed that from the scenario. And I have decided to, right here, right now, make a ranking of who would do what and under what circumstances. Before I continue, because people on the internet are very strange, I do need to make it clear I don't know these men. I've never met these men. I do want to one day sit down with Lewis and have him analyze my entire life, every decision I've made, and have him decide what I should do going forward, but I don't know these men. These are just my... opinions doesn't even seem like the right term. These are my crack theories. These are my thoughts. You can think they're all wrong because, frankly, none of them are gonna do it anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter. Alrighty, here is my screen, here is my tier list. I know you can't see all the drivers. I actually should have mentioned this earlier. I did not do every driver. These are, like, the top 15 that I felt thoughts about. I didn't include, like, any of the new ones because, A, I don't know them that well, and B, they all seem a little too young for me to be deeply contemplating when they go full cock out for art reasons. So I didn't include them, but I did my top 15. And I made the tiers. I actually made the whole tier list for once. I do usually borrow them from tiermaker.com and then give credit where credit is due. I had a specific lineup of drivers that I wanted to talk about, and that's where my tier list came from. That's why I did them. So let's run through the tiers. The bottom tier is definitely not. This is essentially, I can't see it really under any circumstances. Definitely not. Theoretically, but unlikely is like under certain worlds, in certain circumstances, maybe, but highly unlikely. Then with a specific circumstance, this is my kind of catch-all tier where I get to name the circumstance, right? Like, theoretically, but unlikely is like several things have to come together. We're talking like 8 very specific circumstances. With one specific circumstance, it's like you have one weird conversation and suddenly you're modeling naked. That's just with a specific circumstance. I can see it. Pretty self-explanatory. Like, I wouldn't be overly shocked if in, like, an alternate reality they were a nude model. Top one is absolutely no question, right? Like, these are the ones where it would take very little convincing of me to believe it. Absolutely. And let us start with, not even the most obvious one, the only one we have a categorical and canonical answer to, Valtteri Bottas. Not only absolutely no question, he has. I feel like he needs his own tier, because he has done it. I've seen that man's whole ass in a calendar. So, like, I have no questions that he'd do it because he has done it. Let's do Alex next. Alex, definitely not. I'm so sorry. I don't see Alex modeling naked simply because I feel like, how do I want to put this? Like, even if we took fame out, I do still believe Alex Albon has the charisma to bag someone like his girlfriend anyway, like his real-life canon girlfriend anyway. And I do believe Lily would beat his ass. I do. I believe she would beat him with a golf club. So definitely not. Lance Stroll is theoretically, but unlikely. I could see it, right? Like, theoretically, I could see it. But we would need like 8 circumstances to line up. Like, he's already rich. So money isn't a question. He doesn't seem like an overtly show-offy person for his body. So, I think with enough scenarios lining up, it could happen. I don't think it's likely. Update, I realized the portrait orientation was going to cause problems. I switched them to squares, if you were wondering for the aesthetic change. Now let's do with a specific circumstance. I feel like Carlos Sainz would. I feel like Carlos Sainz with, like, 1, maybe 2 very targeted conversations absolutely would be a naked model. Like, he's enough of, like, a... braggadocious isn't the term that I want. But I feel like the internet has sort of gotten into his head just a little bit about how hot he is, and he is hot, right? So, like, I do think that, like, with a specific circumstance, Carlos Sainz could be convinced to pose full cock out. George Russell, meanwhile, I can see it. George Russell, I think, if you convinced him with minor ease that it would be a good meme, like, he'd do it. George Russell, I believe, craves the approval and the validity of the internet. The validation, that's the term I'm looking for. The validation of the internet. And in an alternate universe, I do believe he'd have an OnlyFans. Now that we've filled in all the tiers, who do I want to do next? Oscar? Definitely not. I don't think I've seen a shirtless picture of Oscar in the past, like, 3 years, I want to say. I don't think he'd go any further than what he's already done. He seems like a very private person at his core, and I don't think he'd change that even if he wasn't a millionaire and famous. His teammate, however, I can see it. I don't want to say absolutely no question, simply because, here's the thing. I do firmly believe Lando Norris nudes do circulate some sphere of the internet. Like, I believe they're out there. Maybe not circulate, but I believe they're out there. I believe there's some Instagram model out there in the world that does have a picture of his dick on her phone. I do believe that. And I feel like theoretically, maybe not that he'd be like a full nude model, but his nudes would like come out and then he'd like capitalize off it and make an OnlyFans. So like, I can see it. Daniel Ricciardo, no question. That is the wrong tier. No question. Daniel Ricciardo in an alternate timeline where he was not famous would have been like a weird freaky Twitter person who posted cock and also like weird memes. I believe that in my spirit. Daniel Ricciardo absolutely would have been a nude model under like 800 different circumstances. He has that vibe. I do also think he'd try to do it to heal the inner sadness that exists within him. Like, he'd want that validation from outside sources, but also like absolutely no question. Fernando Alonso, theoretically but unlikely. Here's my theorem on when we'd get Fernando Alonso posing nude in public. I think he would have had to already have been famous and be washed up, because that man should retire. I do believe he loves the like attention of the world and the validation that comes with that, and I do believe that in certain circumstances it would translate into being a nude model. I don't think it would happen easily, and I think it would have to be a lot of things lining up to create it. I don't want to say absolutely not. I do believe he could do it. I just don't think it's likely. Charles? I want to put him in with a specific circumstance. I do believe that circumstance would be Ferrari related in canon, but also like listen, he has the sadness in his eyes that only exists in Eastern European gay porn. So like in some universe, he has been dick out in public. Yuki, I do think would do it. I think in an alternate timeline where Yuki isn't fit, like he seemed like an adrenaline junkie, not in like the Lewis way, we'll get to Lewis, but in like the he'd do anything once kind of way. Yuki to me gives very he'd try anything once, and I do believe one of the things he'd try is being a nude model. Pierre, I can see it. I can see Pierre doing it. I can. I think it would have had to have been, if we're talking like canon Pierre reality, that specific era where he got like really buff, but before he got his weirdly young girlfriend, like that year or two in between where he like really started working out and he got really big in COVID, specifically it was 2020, I can tell you. But like after that, like post-Pink Twink Death Pierre, but like pre-girlfriend. That era specifically, I do think he'd do it. Maybe he needs to be in with a specific... No, because I can still see... Even now, I can still see it. Like, I think, honestly, Charles would do it first, and then Pierre would see the hype of that, and then do it himself. Meanwhile, Pierre's mortal enemy, Esteban, with a specific circumstance, I could see it. Like, I don't think he'd definitely do it. Like, I don't think it would be an easy hill to overcome, but I do think he'd do it. I think he'd like... I feel like he'd also be like, he'd try it, but it would take more convincing to get him to try it. He'd be like, I don't know, that's weird. Like, Yuki would try it, no questions asked. Yuki, I feel like, would try anything once. Esteban, I think it would take a little more for him. The irony that Max Verstappen has had his real-life nudes leaked, and I'm putting him in definitely not. Like, the thing with Max in the modern day is I feel like he's now a father. And I can't separate the, like, father Max Verstappen in my mind, and I don't think he'd do it. I don't think so. Like, if you asked me, like, back when he and Daniel were still together at Red Bull, absolutely. Daniel could have talked him into posing nude with him in, like, 5 seconds max. Nowadays, I think Max has, like, a little too much, like, self-awareness. I don't want to say self-control. He has a little too much, like, self-knowledge, I guess. He wouldn't do it, is my point. I don't think Max would do it. The concept that I could put Lewis in any and every one of these tiers. Maybe not the top one. I'm going to put him dead center. Because the thing is, Lewis does love to post the occasional thirst trap. Right now, his Instagram is very grief-stricken, which is understandable. I get that. But, like, if we were to talk your average day as Lewis Hamilton, I could see it. Like, I could see it with a specific circumstance. Not just, like, on a random day, but, like, if the stars were to align in one specific way, I think he'd do it. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Do not ask me where this idea came from. I'm not joking when I said it came to me in a dream, so I can't explain it. I can't explain why my psyche gave me this, but I did need to talk it out. Because it's been like 3 days of me just thinking about it and like contemplating it and contemplating who would do what, and I wanted to get it out of my head. And the easiest way for me to get something out of my head is to talk about it on the internet. So here I am. Here I am talking about it on the internet. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, you can like and subscribe. Or not. I don't make any money from this channel, so like I really don't care. Other than that, comment whatever you want, and yeah, that's all I got. Thank you again for watching.